Hey, welcome back to Sweaty Comic Book Nerds. I'm Jon Schnepp. Sitting across from me is ComicBookGirl19. Today we are going to talk about the King, Jack King Kirby, the guy who's created almost every comic book character that you love and hold dear to your heart. He's had a hand in somewhat either drawing it or writing it or creating it. Let's talk about the King for a little while. ComicBookGirl19, who is your favorite Jack Kirby character?
I have to say, I'm going to go with some of the weirder ones, lesser known ones. I love Big Barda.
Yeah.
And I love Granny Goodness even. That
Granny
character
Goodness.
is so weird. He has so many, his hand not only in a lot of the mainstream characters, but has also created some of the most creative, weirdest, most awesome characters.
ComicBookGirl19 is referring to some of the characters that he had a hand in creating, basically making them up in the 70s, the New Gods, which was like this whole fourth world saga. Mr. Miracle, his gal, Big Barda, Granny Goodness was in charge of the Apocalypse and the Demon Dogs and all these other crazy, the insane world of Darkseid and his bizarro planet Apocalypse. Just an incredible creator of like, you might have heard of it from Star Wars. It was called The Force. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's Darkseid and The Source.
The Source, yeah.
So we kind of know where George Lucas took a lot of his little ideas from the 70s. This comic book came out basically in 1972-73 was the run. It ran 11 issues. And now Darkseid is like integrated into the entire DC fabric. He's like one of the main villains.
Yeah, he's essentially a DC Thanos type character.
Pretty much, yeah. Before Thanos became a character, they had Darkseid.
Well, then Darkseid to Thanos.
Yeah. Which one came first? Jack Kirby came first. Guess what? He also created Captain America in the 40s. Him and Joe Simon came up with a guy who basically came to represent what America stands for and then basically what the world stands for. It's like, if you're a good person, Captain America is a role model for you.
Yeah, he's also responsible for The Thing, which The Thing is Jack Kirby.
Yes.
That is the most, he put the most of himself in that character in the Fantastic Four, which is adorable.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about where he came from. He came from the streets, came from New York.
Yancey Street.
Oh man, he was a scrapper. He came from the Depression era, so he just worked his ass off. I mean, he's a badass all around. I mean, he defined superhero drawing for generations.
Yeah, I mean, not only when he left Captain America, then he went into the 50s, he did the Fighting American, and then moved into doing a whole bunch of different things. What I hold dear to my heart are all the monster stories that him and Stan Lee did in the 50s and early 60s before they actually launched Marvel Comics and what we know as the Fantastic Four and all the superhero stories that they did in the 60s. They were doing these crazy monster comic books. Every episode there was Groot, there was Bamboo, Son of Bamboo, I'm Mambala, I'm Cromlong.
David Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Or Devil Dinosaur
Devil
with
Dinosaur.
Moon Boy.
Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy came in the 80s.
Oh,
so that is one of my favorite Jack Kirby weirdo creations. He was just like, he did that at the same time that he was doing Machine Man. He was doing a series based on the 2001 comic book. Basically, it was 2001, the comic book series that he was writing and drawing. And he came up with this character, Mr. Machine. They liked it so much, they were like, look, take Mr. Machine, let's change it to Machine Man. Here's a brand new comic series. So he launched that one. He's come back and forth he's kind of bounced around from DC to Marvel, DC to Marvel. And every time he bounced from one to the other, he would bring a flurry of ideas. For DC, when he went over there, he did Mr. Miracle, New Gods, Jimmy Olsen, where he actually brought Superman. And Superman, the mythos of Superman is now integrated into Darkseid as one of Superman's New Gods. It's this whole family. You know, it's a pretty amazing thing how much this guy has affected the entire universe.
Yeah, and it's not just superhero comics either. I mean, as you were saying, he's doing the monster comics, he's done war comics, and also romance comics. He's even done a bunch of romance comics with Simon, which is something that a lot of people don't think about, but that's kind of a fun Kirby experience.
Yeah, modern romance comics with Jack Kirby. He also did a ton of westerns. I mean, he's literally done every single genre possible. I mean, he's most known for all of his superhero comic book characters that he created. But when he bounced back to Marvel, he did the Eternals, which was basically kind of him. He was thematically always going with this mythos and creating new gods. Basically, he did the New Gods, which kind of replaced the old gods, which were Marvel. Then he bounced back to Marvel and recreated the new gods in the form of the Eternals.
Well, he also is responsible for bringing Thor into the Marvel universe, and that's a god. So, you know, he's very much interested in mythology and these characters.
Yeah. I'd say this about Kirby's Thor. Thor is like Frankenstein. You can make your own Thor comic right now if you want to, but you would never be able to have that kind of Kirby, cosmic, amazing, futuristic, retro combination of what he brought to the mighty Thor and Asgard and Odin and all their crazy armor. that kind of cosmic stuff with Silver Surfer Galactus. The list is endless. When we're talking about Jack Kirby, we'll have a list of comics and books that you can read that Jack Kirby's responsible for. And me and ComicBookGirl19, we'd love to thank Jack Kirby for everything that he brought to all of the comic book creations. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on YouTube at my channel, ComicBookGirl19.
Awesome. I'm Jon Schnepp. Thanks again for tuning in to Sweaty Comic Book Nerds. See you later. Hey, Sweatahymus. What's going on? Moist boy, wet one over there in the corner. Do you want to subscribe? Hurry up, drop those drawers, pee in a corner, shake it off, then click that button on theStream.tv and become a sweaty.